Welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff here with co-host Crypto Queen from the Crypto Queen podcast. So looking forward to talking to you guys. We've got a lot of amazing things to go through. We are going to dive in head first, right into the shallow end for maximum impact. Ripple stablecoin. What you need to know: is it good? Is it bad for XRP and the XRPL? We're going to dissect this today. Think it's a really critical topic. Super excited to have Crypto Queen here with us today on the show. So welcome, Crypto Queen. And I think
Thank you. Great
you're
to be
welcome.
here.
Yeah, it's going to be an awesome show today. And we're going to kick this thing off right now.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Welcome to On the Chain. Welcome, Crypto Queen. Awesome to have you here. And it's been like 2 or 3 weeks since I've seen you. We met over in Australia, and we met at the Wave of Innovation, and it was
Yes.
great. I was a guest on your X podcast, on your Spaces, and that was really exciting. That was this past week. Man, we're gonna dive in, talk a lot about Ripple, but before we do that, just a quick takeaway. Your quick kind of feedback commentary from Wave of Innovation.
Oh, look, thank you for having me and introducing me, Jeff. Great to be here. My takeaway from the Wave of Innovation is actually meeting everyone in real life. You know, the people that you spend time with on the Spaces, on Twitter, X, just being able to connect with the community and be able to meet everyone. And, the whole thing of the Wave of Innovation, the whole weekend, it was just amazing, like out of this world.
It was really, yeah, I agree. The one thing that, got me the most, I feel like when we got there, everybody that we met that we kind of already knew from X or from the podcast and beyond, but I felt like everybody knew each other forever. And even some of the people that I met for the very first time, never had any engagement with, just feel like there's like a synergy, a connection. It was really amazing coming off of that. And just a quick note on you guys over there in Australia. I found that the uh, the feedback, kind of the experience of being in Australia, everyone there is super laid back and just super chill. Versus there's nobody. I didn't run into anyone that was like super high, high strung or uptight.
Yeah, we are pretty laid back here in Australia, that's for sure.
Which is awesome. It's kind of a different experience. I didn't expect that. But all right, let's dive into this. Obviously,
Okay.
there's been a lot of conversation over the past week about this Ripple stablecoin, uh, and whether it's going to be a good thing, whether it's going to be a bad thing. Is this something that they suddenly dove into out of the blue, or is this something they've been plotting and planning for a while? And we just started talking about it right before we got started. We're going to dive in because we have a lot of different articles that we want to go through. But just real quick to get it started, and I know you're kind of a day ahead in catching up on some of today's commentary. What are some of the things that you've seen in discussion today?
Yeah, so I think some of the things that I've seen in discussion is how will this impact XRP? How will this be good or bad for the XRPL? One of the main things I think is, will it bring more builders, developers, and liquidity to the XRPL? And overall, will it be good or bad for us? And how does it, is it going to take away from XRP? So they're the main kind of conversations that I think have been had.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. And quick shout out to everybody that is tuning in. We have people tuning in here on YouTube, on X. You guys are going to be tuning in on multiple X channels, which is awesome. You're over there on Crypto Queen's X channel, on Chip's
Yeah.
channel, on my channel, on the Chain. Plus, we're over on Rumble. So if you guys love tuning in on Rumble, right now you can tune in anywhere you feel comfortable with, which is awesome. The objective here, let's get the message out. Let's get the word out. Also, if you're on X and you're watching on one of these X channels, go ahead and forward it and share it, repost it. Let's get the message out. All right. I want to dive in here. Let me see here. Oh, I'm on the wrong one. I'm going to add. So there's some trying to figure out how to stop this. Here we go. Nope, that didn't work. I've got my Rumble kind of running in the background and I got to stop it. There we go. All right. So I'm going to pull this up. This was posted by Bank XRP. It was a short clip from CNBC. And then there's some commentary from Ripple. So we'll start. I just want to play this video real quick. Actually, I have to unshare. And then the one thing that you do when you're using StreamYard, you have to remember when you get ready to present that you have to click the little toggle switch that says share audio. If you don't do that, then you don't get to share the audio. So it's always a challenge. All right, so here we go. So I'm going to play this, and then we can talk about this a little bit. We'll dive into the Ripple articles afterwards. Here we go.
Okay, let's talk about the top stories. Ripple's jumping into the $150 billion US stablecoin market. The issuer behind the XRP token announced plans to launch a stablecoin backed by US dollar deposits, bonds, and other cash equivalents. Now, Ripple is entering a field dominated by Tether and Circle. Last year, payments giant PayPal also entered the space with its own dollar-backed stablecoin. Next, the SEC is asking for comments on a handful of potential spot Ether ETFs.
All right, so a few things. What's up with this picture? Couldn't they have gotten a better picture for PayPal? You got this guy kind of randomly walking over here. I always find it's kind of funny, when you look at some of the way they put stuff through the media. But here's some of the interesting points here. CNBC. So here you go, mainstream media. They're already putting kind of a spin on it. Obviously, there are a couple platforms that are dominating the space. Right, we have Tether, which has been around for a long time, not without controversy. We have USDC that's been around. Now, yes, we saw last year, and it wasn't that long ago, that PayPal jumped in, and PayPal had been sitting on the sidelines forever, right? And we're kind of looking at PayPal saying, why aren't they jumping into this thing, right? These guys dominate the payment space. It looks like the payment space is being taken from them, and they were the big game changer over Visa, MasterCard, and everything else, because when PayPal came to fruition, there really wasn't a solid solution at that time for online payments. And I can remember when I ran an eBay store, we had a actual physical place, and it was interesting, working with PayPal. PayPal wasn't always easy to work with, and they would always immediately side with the buyer. They wouldn't side with the seller. And so there were, many situations where I was always fighting, PayPal to right a wrong because of a buyer that was trying to do something and that wasn't completely honest. And so that's kind of the legacy of where PayPal is. Now they're getting in this space. Now Ripple, then and it's interesting with the way the newscasters like it dominated. Like all of a sudden Ripple's in this coming into a space that is already too occupied. It's too busy. It's maybe they don't have an opportunity to do anything. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that the mainstream media is going to be overly hype, or is it something that they're kind of in awe of to see that here comes Ripple into the space?
Well, I think they're definitely going to be in hype of it for sure. I think, already we're seeing mainstream media where they're taking it and saying that they plan to launch. So what we need to understand is that, it's announced that they're planning to launch. It hasn't been launched. There's obviously going to have to be some regulations around that. Will we see this occur before the lawsuit finishes? But I think it's an interesting point that the mainstream have picked it up and started to run with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's where right now you brought up a solid point. So obviously they just announced They haven't launched it yet. There is a pending lawsuit that hasn't been finished yet. We did have some victory on the first stage of the lawsuit, which XRP was deemed a non-security. Although, if Gary Gensler has his way, he wants to undo that. And there's others on his side of the aisle, politically speaking, that would love to see that undone because they want to devastate the space. It looks like, as Ripple is kind of moving in this direction, and Ripple has also talked about being a backbone for CBDCs. And I think it's really important that we don't confuse their entry into the space with a stable coin as a kind of an entry point into a US dollar uh, government adopted digital dollar that has anything to do with XRP. I feel that what we're going to start seeing, and we've had you know lots and lots of commentary on X and different YouTube channels of how there's going to be this massive buyback of XRP by the US government. And I'm just waiting to see, that kind of commentary coming out to say, you see, here's Ripple with their stable coin, and now get ready because the US government's going to get involved somehow.
Yeah, I think that's been some of the conversation that's been had around this today as well. The conversation about the lawsuit, but also the commentary around Ripple CBDCs, like you said, and all of that. So I think there's some important things for people to remember is that nothing has actually occurred yet.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, and that's why Walter's saying, isn't Ripple creating the CBDC for the government? And I don't know that that's actually the case, and maybe it is. Maybe we'll all be surprised that all of a sudden there'll be some big announcement a couple years from now when they actually do roll out a US dollar, and someone finds out that it's actually backed by technology that Ripple has been working on for all these years, because they are big into this whole central bank digital currency. Quick shout out to a few people tuning in. One of them is Chip. What is up, Chip?
Yeah.
Chip tuning in from an undisclosed location over there and tuning in via YouTube, not tuning in via X. So just giving quick shout outs here. Oh, we also got James Rule. What's going on? Good to have you logging in with us, which is awesome. And here you go, Crypto Queen. Ready for X. Finally seeing the Queen. Thank you for your work.
You're welcome. Pleasure to have you here. Thank you.
So this is great. We've got 236 tuned in right now from different places on X, on YouTube, on Twitch. Let me see. Do we have any? We have our one viewer over on Twitch. We always have one viewer. That's it. If there's two, then the second person has to leave. So there's always one. Give a quick commentary or comment if you're the one viewer over on Twitch, and then we've got also over on Rumble. So I got to remember to keep our Rumble conversation up. So what's up, Mel? First one to post over in the Rumble chat, and make sure you guys give a quick shout out where you're tuning in from. We have people tuning in from all over the world, which is great. NYC Crypto, didn't know where he's tuning in from. You got New York City right in the name. Hello from NYC. Do you think the stablecoin will release before or after the conclusion of the lawsuit? That's an interesting question. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. I think that's a great question. I think it's not going to come before, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It'll come after, but that depends on whether the lawsuit continues to go on, right? So yeah, that is an interesting question, because it could come before the lawsuit ends if it gets extended past our April date.
That's good. Yeah, and it is a great question. I also kind of have that same feeling. I don't know that they will, but there's a good chance. It all depends, because one thing that we've seen with Ripple is that regardless of the lawsuit, they've been pushing forward with their progress in terms of building their company. If they adhered and kind of backed down because of the lawsuit, I have a feeling they would have been out of business by now. But we've seen adoption, throughout the world. We've seen different partnerships taking root all around the world, in Asia, over in the Middle East, in Dubai and Qatar, like different places, which has been good for them, and they're hyper focused. The question then comes out is, do they wait, until after the lawsuit to roll out what could be I don't know if it's game changing, but it could be a game changing solution for them to enter into this space where they now put Ripple and whatever this stable coin might be called. And I know you had done a poll to get some feedback, so we'll go and you can go through that and tell us what some of the people have come up with in terms of what it should be called. But what is certain is that when Ripple does launch their stable coin, it's going to take a primary spot on different exchanges, and it will be it'll bring them front and center across the board. And maybe it'll have XRP in it, maybe it won't. And it's going to be a matter of which exchanges will adopt it first. And and I think that from that perspective, we can pretty much judge the direction that it may go. Because like for right now, the PayPal stablecoin is accessible, I think, just on PayPal. I'm not sure where else you can find a PayPal stablecoin, and I could be wrong. Maybe someone can let us know where they see the PayPal stablecoin.
Well, the ticker for that is
The PayPal is PYUSD.
PYUSD.
Hey, McQuack, why do y'all suck now? I have to make a YouTube and Twitch with this handle if I want to ask a question. You can ask it on X, you can ask it on Twitch, and you can ask it right on YouTube. But you can have it, but make sure you're logged in on all of them. So, and then you can ask your question multiple times. That's funny. But you can see it's perfect. We can see the X, which is, I love. So StreamYard is really nice because you can see the different, I don't know if can you see the comments? Are you on your side with your login, the way you're logging? Okay.
Yeah,
so you can see the comments, but the one thing is that Rumble doesn't work. So Rumble doesn't connect in.
Okay, so I'm just going to tell you that PayYUSD is on some of the major exchanges: Coinbase, BitGet,
there you go.
Kraken, Bybit. So I think there's a potential to for the stablecoin to be on all the major exchanges.
Yeah.
I guess it's just a matter of time and seeing how that unfolds.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I agree. So let me pull this up. All right, here we go. And this is going to be Ripple. There's a whole nice little thread from Ripple. So let's zoom in on this and let's dissect and talk about it. And then we can go to their press release because they had this really beautiful press release over here as well. Kind of look at that. Ripple to issue USD-backed stablecoin, bringing more utility and liquidity to the XRP ledger. So this is something that they're promoting. This is something that they believe strongly in. This is something they think will add tremendous value because it will be on the XRPL and utilizing kind of the backbone and some of their forecasting. But let's go through. I think they broke it up nicely over here, so we don't have to read through paragraphs. They kind of summarized it here in a thread. Number one, the stablecoin market is booming, around 150 billion today, and projected to soar past 2.8 trillion by 2028. There's a clear demand for trust, stability, and utility. That's why later this year we're launching a stablecoin pegged to the USD on the XRPL and Ethereum. And I think this is what threw people off, was this statement right here, that they are looking to do something that's both on the XRPL and Ethereum. And I know there's a lot of people that talk about how they talk about the Ethereum mafia and all the things with, they kind of go into the foundation and they want to talk. So here's Ripple embracing Ethereum. And one thing that Chip and I talk a lot about is that multi-chain is important. Cross-border interoperability between the different platforms is critical. And so here you go. And here's Ripple saying, you know what? We know Ethereum is here to stay. We know that Ethereum is an important technology. And by the way, when we launch the stablecoin, it's going to be on both uh, the XRP ledger and Ethereum. Since you are a day ahead and you've read some of the other commentary out there, what kind of things have you seen in relation to just this statement?
Yeah, I think, look, some of the community that, know about the ETH gate, and they're not too keen on the idea of it being, on Ethereum, really.
Yeah.
They're not, that's kind of, they're not super keen on that at all. And, I can understand, but we're moving forward, we're moving forward in a different time. And I think people need to be able to be more agile and be able to understand that that's what Ripple are actually doing, is they're being more agile. They're pivoting, they're changing, they're being in allowance of being able to change. I guess another question from this statement that's been asked is, what will the stable coin be pegged 1-to-1 to the US dollar, XRP ledger, and Ethereum? But what will it be backed by, has been the question.
Yeah, so I think that there's some commentary on that also, where it's going to be backed by the U.S. dollar, by Treasury notes, and some other things. I like the idea that they use a basket of goods. There was some concern not that long ago, a little bit of controversy with the USDT, that it wasn't actually backed by what they said it was backed by. And that created a little bit of havoc. There was a short blip of time where there was some concern over that. There's definitely some regulatory uncertainty on a global scale right now as it relates to cryptocurrencies also. And we're starting to see some of the bigger exchanges. We saw that there were some issues with Binance over in Nigeria. We know that there's issues with CZ and Binance in the US market. We know that Bitrue is no longer available with the app anyways. And I think they're shutting down access on the platform soon to people in the US. I know I was able to log into Bitrue and move some asset from Bitrue recently. So I still, so there's still some access to it. I don't know that you can buy. I haven't tried buying anything on the Bitrue platform. Maybe people can comment. But what we're seeing is a direct assault against different exchange platforms by regulatory bodies, which is making the space a little bit uncertain. There's still kind of an unknown variable. There was a lot of commentary, and I had meant to get to it earlier in the week with the SEC against Coinbase. Now, and so that's kind of an interesting developing story also, along with and coinciding with the SEC assault against Ripple and this $2 billion request of penalty fines from Ripple, which makes it extremely, it can make it extremely volatile. And maybe it's all done on purpose, kind of a design to create some uncertainty in the marketplace.
Yeah, I think so. And it's, if you think of the timing of the announcement of this, as they're sort of coming to a head with the lawsuit with the SEC, it is by design, I do feel. Exactly.
Mm. And also potentially kind of a slap in the face, maybe back to the SEC and some of the regulatory bodies that say, hey, you know what, here we go. We're coming out with a stable coin also. I don't think it's coincidence. I don't think it was timed right now. I believe it's something that's been orchestrated in the back end of their plans to do this. It's probably, direct. We could probably line up, evidence to that fact too. But here's Jim D saying, so Ripple is to create a new dollar denominated stablecoin in addition to XRP as a nation neutral stablecoin. And that's an interesting comment. And that was from Jim D. I like this one here. James Rule said, Crypto Queen has that wonderful narrator voice.
Thanks, James.
I agree.
Appreciate that. I think what people need to understand is XRP doesn't have any jurisdiction. It can operate in multiple countries across the globe. So in terms of that, it has no limits really. Like in Australia, XRP is not a security; it's a digital asset, so it's very different for us to the US, and how it's been viewed.
Mhm.
So understanding that, I think, is super important.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, I've looked at Australia for a long time. Kinda it seems that, Australia is maybe the little brother, little sister to the US, but at the same time, it also always seems that that in Australia, you're always, like, a little bit of a step ahead with from an entrepreneurial perspective, from an innovative perspective, and one of the things I was, having a conversation when we're at the Wave of Innovation with someone, and they were talking about where they had alluded to the reason why, uh, and it might have been, I think I was talking to Bullish Mr. K about this, why is Australia in a position where they're more innovative? And why do they seem to be on that trend? And it's something more deep rooted in the people of Australia trying to do and better the position, better themselves, but also making do from a more regional perspective instead of being reliant on others, but taking good technology and making it better from a regional perspective. What's your takeaway on that? What?
Yeah, look, I think we follow the government regulations. They don't really regulate a lot, but Bitcoin is regulated. XRP is obviously categorized as a digital asset. I do feel that. So just personal experience today. I went to the chiropractor, and my chiropractor asked me what I've been up to, and I said, I've been at a crypto convention up on the Gold Coast. And he's like, crypto? And it just opened up a whole new conversation with him. I don't think I'd had that one. And he's like, oh yeah, I've got my crypto. And he said Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP. Then I went to a local market where I live, and saw a guy that I'd talked to maybe 2 years ago about crypto. And we started talking about the Ripple stablecoin, because he was like, yeah, I'm all over it. I'm on Twitter all the time. I'm on
Uh,
X. And so, just those conversations. So I think more and more people are definitely opening up to that, and that entrepreneurial spirit of people wanting to create and generate something different.
mhm, that's great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. It's over here. I like watching the Shark Tank, and then you have a similar show. It might be the same name, but I think it has a different name over in Australia. So I like watching that one, and that's
Yeah.
where, and this has been going on like for years. I've always looked at Australia as always a little bit of a step ahead from an innovative perspective, but definitely in the crypto space. There's been different projects in the payment space that have adopted or have adapted to cryptocurrency, utilizing kind of a backbone of the XRPL and others. And this has been going on for a couple of years, where here we have all this uncertainty. One of the other things that I've seen a lot of over the past week or so is this discussion over XLM, and that to
Mike,
me,
yeah,
what's that?
Mike says a
Yeah,
lot of people are starting to talk about XLM. Make sure you hold some of that. I would say also XDC in Australia. XDC is rather big. There's quite a big,
XDC.
yeah,
Yeah, that's something. Yeah, I got into that a while back. XLM, I always saw XLM and XRP. I believe that each asset has a particular use case, or at least there was
yeah,
a purpose for it, and there will be ongoing for a purpose for it. Like if we look at Bitcoin, I still firmly believe that it's a backbone store of value. I don't know
yes,
that it's going to be a proper utility payment solution, although they're trying to make it that. And there's some solutions like Spend the Bit that simplify it, make it cheap, make it more efficient, make it faster. Whereas they looked at like the Lightning Network and all that, it never really gained any momentum. But then you look at like the XLM, I always saw that is, and this is exactly how they promote it, is more of a retail based payment solution for, and working towards helping the unbanked become more banked. And they're moving it, and they continuously move. They haven't changed their messaging, right? And but XRP, I think people confused XRP and the XRPL as a payment solution for retail. And I never thought that it ever was. I always thought it was really geared more towards where it's going, which is driving more commercial, more B2B. I think that, what now that we're going to see the stable coin, which is kind of that departure, which is moving into kind of a retail-esque space, on the exchanges. But XRP overall wasn't really meant for the day-to-day transaction.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Well, I think that Ripple are pivoting. That's pretty much what I think. I think, there was a whole, maybe it was some people sold it that way, that it was going to be for the retail and the payments, but I think it's actually pivoted away from that. And with a stable coin, oh, you've frozen on me, Jeff. Am I frozen to you? I'll just keep talking, shall I?
See,
yes.
There we go.
Oh, there we go. You completely froze with coffee in your mouth. That was quite.
Did I?
Scary. And I was
Great.
like, oh,
I'm waiting on the screenshots for that. Oh my God.
I'm
All
not sure.
my internet was just unstable.
Unstable, right?
Unstable.
Yeah, I think, there is a pivot. I think it was sold to people that got XRP as a retail. It's not for retail. It's going to be just for payments, but that's not what's occurred. I love to be able to hold my XRP, but I like to use XRP and XLM to move funds as well, to move assets to different exchanges. So that's how I also use it, Yeah.
Yeah. What's this? We'll make a great MO. Great. Yeah. That's a sound per, right? That's so funny. Oh my God. So all right, let's go back into this part here. See how the show goes? Like you get into like one little segment and then you're already 30 minutes in. That's how fast time flies when you come on the chain. Right? It seems like we just started. It was kind of like going to the wave of innovation. I felt like we just got there and now it's already 2 weeks since we've been back.
I know, right?
Yeah. Jeff's coffee cup under cyber attack.
This move extends Ripple's reach into both institutional and DeFi realms, diversifying use cases, enhancing our payments infrastructure to bring the worlds of traditional and decentralized finance closer together.
Interesting.
Well, I think that's what they're trying to achieve, right? That's their target. If they can enhance the payment infrastructure that they've currently got in place to kind of bring it closer together.
Your internet has been learning from XRP. See that? So funny. So here's Ripple stablecoin will be 100% backed by U.S. dollar deposits, U.S. government bonds, and cash equivalents. And Ripple pledges transparency with monthly third-party attestations, ensuring trust and reliability. I like that. They're already putting themselves with the point number 3. Seems like that they're going to put themselves above where USDC is, where USDT is, and potentially even where PayPal is. But it's definitely a big move, and it's gonna be later in the year. So PayPal is gonna have, a bigger kind of definitely a bigger head start against them. They're gonna be the 4th biggest, and maybe that this is their competition: USDC, USDT, and PayPal. I like how they're backing it. I like how they're using, again, a basket of goods, but it's gonna, based on the US dollar deposit. I like having the government bonds in there, cash equivalents.
So would that be gold?
Could be gold. It could be other crypto. currency potentially. I would think maybe that's a cash equivalent,
Mhm.
other investment. I would like to see some, obviously they'd have to balance it out if they're going to put Bitcoin in there, or maybe there's going to be XRP in the basket, something that can be liquid, something that could be, quickly moved into a currency, into a USD
Yeah.
potentially backed, and then they have to constantly balance it. I think that that's some of the balancing act. If they're going to be pegged to the US dollar, then it's a continuous tweaking, which is again what we saw some of the problem not that long ago with USDT commodities. Yep. So we're saying commodities, and that's it. Um, let's see. Marcus is saying that's interesting. How do you use XRP to move funds to exchanges?
Well, I sell and buy my XRP and move it because it's fast, quick, and it's cheap to move. So it's the easiest way if I want to move, rather
Yeah.
than move USDT or USDC, I buy XRP and I move it to an exchange. Like if I want to trade or I want to buy an asset, that's how I do it
Mhm.
because it's super fast,
Easier.
super cheap, and it's almost real-time settlement.
Yeah, and that's a great point. I was moving some asset this past week, and it's all ERC-20 backed, and it cost for the small amount that I moved, it cost me $28 to move it, and it's just crazy the amount of cost. And I would have put it, and I was contemplating, but it was over on Bitrue. So it's kind of in a stuck position if I wanted to move the asset. But I agree with that because you can quickly sell out of it. Whatever you have, you're on an exchange, you can sell out of it and rebuy it. The only problem, if you have an asset and you have you have a on paper profit with that asset, and now you sell that asset, now it becomes a realized profit, a realized gain, and it becomes a taxable event if you're moving it. So now all of a sudden you have a taxable event on whatever asset you just sold, or it could be a realized loss if you're losing on it. And maybe that's a positive. You have your realized loss, and then you move into XRP to put it on a different exchange, and maybe you're buying back into that same asset. So you're not really losing anything on the valuation of it, but you're gaining a realized loss if you have that loss. But that's one thing that I kind of got caught up in. As we're looking at it, it's like, okay, you have it there. You have on paper gains with your asset. What do you do with it? Is it just stuck? Can you move it? Do you want to take the gain? Do you want to move it into something else? And then you start looking at all the different variables of it. All right, here's were we on number 4? Are we on, where do we go with that? We're on number 4.
Or
Okay.
yeah.
Stablecoins serve as a pivotal oh, we read that one, didn't we? Did we read this one? No, we didn't
No,
read this one.
no.
Stablecoins serve as a pivotal entry point to DeFi and introducing a trusted enterprise grade stablecoin to the XRPL, which will generate more use cases, liquidity, and opportunity for developers and users alike. How do you see that? Do you see that there's going to be some sort of a additional use case if they're going to have a stable coin? Can you have, and it's enterprise grade stable coin, then maybe they are reaching out more, again, more in institution based. Maybe that's the reason why they need the stable coin. Maybe there is an issue with the adoption of RippleNet utilizing XRP. But if they now adopt a stable coin into the institution, maybe the banks are going to be more readily uh, willing to use an XRPD or whatever it's going to be called, but they're going to use that in the RippleNet solution faster than they'll go to XRP. There's all this regulatory uncertainty over XRP. Okay, guess what? We're rolling out a stable coin. It's going to be pegged to the US dollar. It's going to be more efficient to move it over to the next from bank to bank, institution to institution. So maybe that's the game changer. Maybe it is going to be good for Ripple and RippleNet.
Yeah, and I think one thing around where they say opportunities for developers, I think one thing that the XRPL, they have a lot of builders and developers, but I think this will bring more. And particularly with Ethereum in there will be people that come and build more and develop more on the XRPL with a stable coin there as an entry point into that DeFi.
Mhm.
Well, in my opinion.
Yep. Yep. So here we go. Simultaneously, we know the future of crypto is multi-chain. I like that comment. Launching the stablecoin on both XRPL and Ethereum opens doors to cross-chain interoperability. I think that's
Yeah.
a solid point. You agree?
Yeah, and that's what I was kind of saying. Like the developers will
Yeah.
come, and there will be that multi-chain and the cross-chain and the interoperability. Absolutely.
Yeah. Here's Ripple's move into stablecoins isn't just about innovation. I agree with that. It's about contributing to the XRPL ecosystem and setting the stage for a more robust and diverse crypto landscape. Uh, yeah, it's interesting too. I like how they put the narrative, how they put the spin on it because it makes puts Ripple in this kind of shining, glowing light above everything else. Because there is some uncertainty. If you come out and say, "Hey, we're rolling out this stable coin," meaning that Ripple is going to now use it in their cross-border transaction, meaning that they're going to reduce the utility of XRP and maybe XRP doesn't even factor into their ODL any longer. I think they've renamed the ODL, the on-demand liquidity, has a new name. I forget exactly what it is in their platform. They've kind of tripped over themselves over the past couple of years trying to simplify the language they use. And I think they kept running into some barrier, even when they're rolling out their RippleNet solution. Even within the banking industry, people were uh, getting confused with how they positioned all their different X platforms. And so now you bring in a stable coin from their perspective, it could be really great. Moving to institutional movement of money could be really great. Institution store of money, right? So if you want to have an institution that jumps in to the plat, and the more we talk through this, it's starting to be a lot clearer to me also on the Ripple uh, reasoning for having a stable coin, and it's making a lot more sense to me that it is all about their institutional play, not so much from a retail perspective. Retail will be a benefactor of having it out there if it gets to the exchanges, but the bigger play is the adoption by these institutions, right? So if an institution wants to use a stable coin to move and to movement of money cross border, bank to bank, they're probably not going to use PayPal. There's a good chance they won't use the PayPal stablecoin. They're probably not going to use USDT because of the problems that it's had in the past. And they may or may not use USDC. I think USDC is retail. Banks don't necessarily want to use retail solutions. They want to use institutional solutions. So the more we kind of talk through this, it seems to me, and I could be off with this, but it seems that Ripple is setting the stage for a big institution play.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't have much more to say on that. I agree wholeheartedly on that.
So we've got DK sad from what Joel Katz has said. This was delayed by 4 years because of the SEC nonsense. They were either going to launch their own stable or bring stables into the XRPL. Interesting points on that. All right, let's do a kind of a segue. You had a poll on your X that you
Yeah,
put
I
out
did.
there, and it was
Yeah.
all about what could the potential name be for this new XRP stablecoin. Did you
Yeah.
have a clear like winner? Was there something that was repeated over and over? Are there any funny ones that came out? Are there any that you like?
Yeah,
What
there
was
are.
the
So
feedback?
I put up a poll. I had XUSD, RUSD, USDX, USDR. The clear winner was UXUSD. However, there were USDP or PUSD. So they were kind of what, PUSD or USDP. There were a couple of votes on the USDP.
Mm-hmm.
So they were kind of the ones, but it'll remain to see, because someone said that they had an XUSD token that they've been holding on Binance Smart Chain for some years. So I don't know if it's going to have an X in there as a stable coin.
Yeah, I just like XRPD. I think XRPD is good. Or how about XRP plus? I don't, you probably can't use a plus. XRP better. New XRP. How about that one? It's gonna
new D, NEWD, maybe.
Yeah, it depends on their,
new dollar?
all right. Depends on their full objective. So here's some comment here. Hang on a second. I'll bring this one in. Here you go. XRPX. Just keep it going. Bullish Mr. K said XUSD. There you go. We could start all sorts of but here's the comment from Brad Garlinghouse, and it kind of fits into what we're talking about. And it, again, going back to number one, we're sitting at 150 billion today. They're projecting 2.8 trillion in 4 years. In 4 years, that's how big the stablecoin market is going to be. And in order to get to 2.8 trillion, that means that there's going to be a lot of institutional involvement in the stablecoin space, and they're making a big play for it. I think, again, Ripple has they already have their foot in the door with the banks, and this is such a natural progression for them to make this move. And here's Brad Garlinghouse even saying it: launching a stablecoin is a natural step for Ripple as we bridge the gap between traditional finance and crypto. Traditional finance, big institutions, big banks, the Fidelities of the world, etc. We have one, the years of experience, 100%. Two, the regulatory footprint on a global scale outside of the U.S. Three, a strong balance sheet, 100% accurate. Four, a network with near global payout coverage to offer the best of crypto-enabled payments using XRP and our future stablecoin together. So if we're going to see this crossover, this intersect, you get their stablecoin into the hands of these institutions, it could be a game changer for their platform, but it'll bring more adoption, more recognition from a regulatory perspective. Also, maybe it's easier, right? Now it's not so much of an investment vehicle. One of the things that I think really upsets the banking infrastructure, what upsets the traditional financial infrastructure, what has upset the regulatory bodies and the government, especially in the US government, is that retail got to it first, right? It never happens this way. Everything is kind of backwards right now, right? Is that retail got to crypto first. The one thing that they don't want to have happen and they don't like seeing is that too many people make too much money, right? They prefer to see kind of retail stay subservient and reliant on big business, big institution, big banks, big government. And when too many of the little guy have opportunities and vehicles to make a lot of money, they find a way to cap it, and they push people back into worker bee mode. It's like, you'll work, you'll just survive, and that's where we want you, because now you're reliant on us for everything. We're seeing that happen again. We've seen it, play out multiple times over a different industry. We're definitely seeing it in the crypto space. Now, big business, big finance, the banks, they also have an issue working with the digital asset that's in the hands of retail. They need to have a differentiator. They need to have, quote unquote, first mover advantage. You go to a stable coin, it kind of gives them this quote unquote first mover advantage, especially if what Brad Garlinghouse is talking about, what he's referring to here, is all big business, all big bank, all big finance, big institution. It's definitely not a play for retail and XRP holders or anything of that. It's 100% or 98%, 99% geared up towards this $2.8 trillion play, where they need to get more leverage, and they're going to establish the leverage that they need uh, with this play. And nobody else is positioned to do it. He's 100% accurate. There's nobody else, no other platform, no other stable coin that's in a position to take this leverage, and the financial institutions need it. They want it. And that's where Ripple's going to be. And they're going to have first mover advantage in that space because they're already there.
Yeah, and it's a very progressive move by Ripple to actually take this. And I just feel that like this is just where, like, I don't know, I think of David Schwartz holding that iceberg, and I think this is just like the tip of the iceberg for what is really going to come. And all these people who said institutions and traditional finance won't adopt. Oh, well, I think they might have to eat some words. And I think it's super exciting where we're about to go.
Mm-hmm. So this is interesting. So Tony's saying, so will the XRP token be useless and replaced? I don't think it's going to be replaced by. I believe that, my opinion, just looking at it, and it'll be interesting to get your take on this also, but I look at the XRP, the XRPL is the backbone. This is how they're going to easily move and transact their stable coin. It's going to use the technology that's already in place. XRP, from a liquidity perspective, the one thing that they established was this ODL, which is the on-demand liquidity. I believe that even in a stablecoin environment, it's still a one-for-one transaction. You still have to have some funding, and this maybe get a little bit too deep. I think that the XRP, from their perspective, is still going to be important from an on-demand liquidity perspective to help facilitate transaction on a bigger scale with these institutions. But right now, the big play is bringing and scaling the stablecoin into the institutions, which is basically what we're talking about. I don't know that it's specifically going to replace it. Maybe it's going to offset it. I think they were not getting the traction that they needed within the financial institutions utilizing the crypto asset. Again, kind of based on what I was saying before, and specifically based off of what he's saying here, what Brad Garlinghouse is saying. It's so clear, based in, it's right there, black and white, exactly what they're going to do, what their objective is, and they want to see the best of crypto. There's some sort of intersect between the two.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. What else do we have here that was interesting? Some interesting take.
Well, we had the CoinDesk article, and so I'd like to pull that part and have a bit of fun with that. Actually,
you want to
Jeff.
do that? All right. Should we open that up? Yeah. So I closed it because we were talking about it. Like, come on, this is too much. I don't know how anything gets passed off as media. I read so many of these articles, and we put them up there, and then I read the title of their article, and then you get into the actual meat of their article, and it just doesn't. It's so nonsensical. So
yeah, well, I think you've got to have a look at the people that are writing these. Are they actually just journalists writing for CoinDesk, or do they have any experience in blockchain technology and digital assets at all? I mean, if they're listening, CoinDesk, you probably need to reach out to someone who can actually write the article better for you.
Yeah. This is an opinion piece, so we'll point that out. But then you get into it. Look at this right away. Sorry, XRP Army, it's my job to speak out. So, but what is? Let's look at. I don't want to get too into the personal. Let me hang on a second. Before we do that, I'm going to pull this up. Hang on a second.
Sure.
Let's look at who wrote the article, and it is an opinion piece. But here we go. Relatively. Here we go. I don't know what Consensus Magazine is. Here we go. So this is So Daniel, deputy managing editor for Consensus, where he helps produce monthly editorial packages and opinion section. He also writes a daily news rundown and twice weekly column for the Node newsletter. Let me read it over here. It'll be easier. Let me see if I can zoom in. There we go. He first appeared to print in Financial Planning, a trade publication magazine. Before journalism, he studied philosophy as an undergrad, English literature in graduate school, and business and economics reporting at an NYU professional program. So he has a little bit of background there in business and economics, maybe a little bit younger to the space. But again, is an opinion piece, so it's going to be his take on it. But you're right. A lot of times you'll see stuff posted on CoinDesk and all these others, and it just you just have to wonder, like, how much involvement did they actually have in the crypto space? So here, what does Ripple stablecoin mean for XRP? XRP has plenty of internet fans, but Ripple has struggled to win real enterprise customers. Will its new stablecoin fill the gap and overshadow its existing token? What do you think about that first question, if you were to look at this?
Well, what does the stablecoin mean for XRP, or do you mean will its new stablecoin fill the gap and overshadow the X?
No,
Well,
just in general, like right off the bat.
well, in general, no.
This is his opening question, right? XRP has
Yeah,
plenty of internet fans, almost like internet fans. He's like belittling. He's already belittling XRP holders by calling them internet fans, and then pointing out that Ripple has struggled to win real enterprise customers, which is not accurate.
it's not accurate. They have partnerships, in Singapore and in many countries as well. So, and he makes reference to the XRP army. So I'm not sure if I consider myself XRP army or XRP community, but he specifically references that. And it's kind of a bit of a dig at the retailers, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
And a bit of a belittle. But will it impact XRP? Well, that remains to be seen because we don't have the stable coin yet. Like if the stable coin had launched this week and we were starting to see a price impact, maybe, but we haven't seen a price impact yet because it hasn't been launched. So it's kind of also jumping the gun, right?
Right, from a price impact perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I don't even know. I mean, you get some utility with it. It's going to change things. It's going to put them in the forefront. Institutions will use it. It's going to be on the exchanges. So like we were saying before, I think retail will have access to it when it gets to the exchanges. It will bring about more momentum and utility across the XRPL because the stablecoin is going to be using that backbone. It's going to help establish the interoperability like we talked about with since they're also rolling through Ethereum. But this commentary, and we see this a lot, mostly from Bitcoin maxis that are constantly trying to crush XRP, right? XRP was always the banker's coin and it's centralized and Bitcoin is the best. And, and that it just seems like that same type of comment here. Ripple has declared the death of XRP. Like this, it just seems it's a little bit elementary from a writer's perspective. I would expect more of CoinDesk. It seems more like a college paper or maybe, advanced high school paper to come out with this comment, not to knock the writer too much, but it just that right off the bat, Ripple has declared the death of XRP. Well, no, they didn't. Well, to be fair, to be accurate, Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse has said the exact opposite when announcing the Silicon Valley mainstay will launch a US dollar-backed stablecoin later this year. But in the grand scheme of things, XRP's usefulness is dwindling. Sorry, XRP Army, it's my job to speak out how it is. So we're 10, 12 years into this new asset class, right? Which is cryptocurrencies. You can call it an experiment. You can call it whatever direction you want to call it. Kind of how the U.S. is still an experiment with our constitutional republic, and here we are, one of the global leader fighting for freedom. But here you have XRP, you have Bitcoin. Obviously, there's all sorts of different assets out there. We're 10 years in. All right, the space is just blossoming. We went from infancy, well, we're probably still in the infant stage. We're probably just at the point where we're trying to stand up and walk, right? And we went from brand new, people didn't know what to think of it. Now here we are, getting ready to make some big plays on a global scale. Like Brad Garlhouse is talking about the stable coin. We're at 150 billion. We're going to move to 2.8 trillion in a short period of time. That's a major leap forward. Now we're going to go from not being able to walk, we're crawling still. We're going to get up and start walking. Then we're going to go from a walk in the next 4 years to a full on sprint. And so here's, the way this is being analyzed is that XRP has no usefulness. Here's the XRPL. The XRP is starting to find its way. There's platforms that are building that are going to be utilizing the XRPL, that will utilize XRP as the asset. It's kind of like saying that the usefulness of Bitcoin is dwindling because it's just a store of value. You can't use it for payment, or maybe many of the other assets are also not useful because there's no use for them. But yet the use is developing. This type of language it drives me crazy when I see people, from an article perspective, they use this kind of language.
Yeah, I think it's just it lacks matureness, and it also lacks probably an understanding of what the XRPL does and what Ripple's targets are in the cryptocurrency space. So, I think, look, I don't write financial articles, but I think it could be more in depth.
Yeah, see, it's already taken away. Like I can't even get into the rest of the article because I just read the beginning, and who just said it was clickbait? Someone just said it was clickbait. Oh, here we go. So NYC crypto, that part was clickbait. His opinion is flawed. I get sucked into clickbait all the time. I read it, then I get upset by it. And sometimes our titles or thumbnail will use a little bit, and then people bash us. They're like, oh, your thumbnail is clickbait, your title is clickbait. At least it's just like one little glimpse. But then when you start off an entire paragraph could be all clickbait, then I tune out. I don't even get to the rest of the meat of it because it's a direct attack. It's no longer clickbait. The clickbait would be just the title right here. What does Ripple stablecoin mean for XRP? That's not really clickbait, but then you have a whole paragraph that I'm just like, I already tuned out. Was there anything else that you wanted to dissect in this article?
No, but I did want to give a shout out to Moon Lambo because he's done a YouTube on it today as well, and sort of dissected that. He's gone in a bit of a rant and said it was quite cathartic for him to do that. So yeah, I don't think it's one to be focused on. I just thought, it was good to just touch on it so that people understand that not everything that's being reported out there is true and correct.
Yeah, exactly. So we're at an hour. That's how the space just kind of goes. We didn't even get to any of the other articles that we're going to talk about. So as we kind of get to the wrap up part of it, we can go for another hour. What kind of parting words do you have?
I think know what you hold. I think this is just the beginning of XRP, that it could definitely just blow out. And once the stable coins released, watch the XRPL developers come on board, watch the interoperability and the financial institutions, watch their play as well. I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not paid by Ripple. haven't signed any NDA. This is just my personal opinion. But I think, know what you hold. Know that they have just pivoted and changed the narrative of what everyone was thinking about, and know that anything is possible right now.
Yeah, it's a good takeaway on it. We're moving in the right direction as far as the space in general. I agree with you. Developers are looking at the XRPL. There's developers building on the XRPL. I think that the XRPL Foundation needs to be more actively involved in helping support the development and the builders in the space. I think that Ripple needs to become more actively involved in helping to support the development and building in the space. Although I don't think that Ripple needs to really focus there, because Ripple's primary focus is building their own company, which is exactly what they're focused on, which is exactly why they're rolling out the stablecoin also, because it's going to help expand their presence. It's going to expand their business, their market share, vis-a-vis using the XRPL. The XRPL will then develop further. It does create a better platform for developers to come in also and expand. Everything is relatively new. Right now, the pivot is Ethereum, the ERC20 tokens. There's the majority of this space has all been based on and built on Ethereum. All right. And so now there's this opportunity, and the opportunity's been there. You need a competitor. There has to be big competition. We see some of the things that Flare's doing, which is really exciting. And that's something else to really dig into and talk about. But it's been awesome having you on the show. Loved having you on
Yeah,
the
it's
show.
been
You had
awesome
a
to be
really
here.
nice yeah. And so your podcast or your X Spaces is every Tuesday. What
Every
time do you
Tuesday,
normally do it?
5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, New York.
Awesome. And if you look at the description on YouTube, I put a direct link over to how you can actually find your spaces. Everyone, you can follow Crypto Queen over on, I was going to say Twitter, over on X. Sometimes it still comes up as Twitter, but you can follow Crypto Queen over on X. You can find the details below in the description here on YouTube platform, and love to have you back on. So
Yeah.
it'd be great.
Such an honor and a pleasure to hang out with you again, Jeff. And yeah, thanks to everyone for having me on the show as well, and hanging out.
It's awesome. And if you guys are here, make sure you give a thumbs up, give a quick shout out, and we will see you on the next one. Hang in there while we go out. And that's all we got. See you on the next one. Oh, that'll be Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll check you out then.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.